Zion Law School. Okay, we're going to continue with Scorpio, coming from Mark 10:32 through 52. 10:32 through 52, yo. Okay. Miss, can I have one more? All right. It's tea with lemon. Their lemons are green here. Okay, the lemons here are green. So let's pick up where we left off. Page 162 at the bottom with this quote by Dan Rudyard. Okay, so we're going to pick up here. I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. This is a presentation. It's actually it's turned into a free course. Okay, so this is the Gospel and the Zodiac, the secret truth about J.C. the Christ figure by the Reverend Bill Darrell-El. Okay. All right, the link to the free PDF is in the description area of this video, so y'all download it. You can get it. I strongly recommend you print it and get it bound, okay? Whew. All right. So let's continue. Dan Rudyard addresses these very themes. These are the Scorpio themes in his chapter on Scorpio. The mystical way. Ask, moreover, that all forms of ambition be relinquished. Of course, that's ridiculous, right? Now, they used to push that when I was involved in Christianity. You should have no ambition, okay? And the strange thing is that everybody knew that that wasn't right, but everybody went along with it as if to say, well, you know what they mean. Okay? All forms of ambition be relinquished, and quote unquote spiritual ambition may be the most dangerous. Spiritual ambition. This is an effort, a goal directed toward being close to whoever you say the Most High is, right? To do he, she, it, whatever you think, will follow the instructions or keep the commandments. But Christianity is saying that spiritual ambition is a bad thing. In fact, it's dangerous. But when you go and you look at the commandments and you look at the contract, the terms of the contract, well, it says be very careful that you do everything that is commanded. That I command you this day. That's today, right? So do everything that Moses said. All of those things were connected to a very strong motivation, a very positive and strong outcome, which is tangible wealth, leadership in industry, peace, freedom, liberty, right? To be the creditor, says you'll be the head and everybody else will be the tail. So you'll be the creditor and others outside of the contract will be debtors. Okay, there's no two ways around that. You'll lend to them, but you won't borrow, right? Y'all go read it for yourself. So this is the motivation that we're supposed to have, but yet Christianity condemns that, condemns it. You see the conflict that Christianity has with natural law? Do you see the conflict, the direct conflict, the vilification of the law? Y'all see it? All right. And spiritual ambition may be the most dangerous. Y'all hear that? The most dangerous. With almost subtle kind of ambition. There should be no feeling whatsoever of competition in one's endeavors. Okay, now, being ambitious and being competitive, these are two different things. Okay, to be ambitious does not mean you have to be or you are competitive. Okay? Very different. There should be no feeling whatsoever of competition in one's endeavors. Now, I can agree with that, especially if one is part of a group or seekers or disciples. Now, is there anything wrong with competition? No. There's nothing wrong with competition. It's just that when competing and being first becomes all you care about. Okay, that's a prescription for disaster, right? Or when that's the most important thing to you. That's a prescription for disaster. Okay, thank you. Gamma. Okay, everybody should know that. Imagine a father competing with his son. The son's not going to realize what's happening, right? But if the father is competing with him, the father is going to sabotage him. Sabotage his own flesh and blood. And feel good about it, right? And feel like he's winning. Have no bad feeling about it whatsoever. Be happy to sabotage and destroy his own seed. Clearly that's toxic, right? Even he knows what he's doing is wrong. I've experienced it. I know all about that. Okay? But all of that is done through competition. All right? The want, the need, the desire to be better. Or to see someone else fail. Okay, why? Because you're competing. In other words, you're nothing in your own eyes. And in your perception, in the eyes of others. So you need to destroy, compete with someone. Especially if it's like a mother and a daughter, father and a son type of situation, y'all. That's very sad. But this is what I talked about in the previous presentation. About someone who's born into a house, neighborhood, nation, bloodline, where the people are out of their mind, where they're acting against nature. They have these destructive habits. Anything that's out of harmony with nature is destructive, okay? So, or imagine this, a man and a woman, his consort, and she or he or they are competing with each other. So you see that's a recipe for disaster, right? They'll be sabotaging each other, doing all kind of bad things to each other. Okay? So it's a disaster. All right. So anyway, let's continue. But that's common sense, right? Even people who are extremely competitive, when you look inside of their lives, you'll see that The only way that they can have people like them is by pitting other people against each other. And they become a puppet master, right? Always worrying about getting caught, but they don't care about how other people feel. Everybody else can be dying, getting sick and dying around them, but they're happy and healthy. Why? Because none of this stuff bothers them emotionally. So they maintain good health. Okay, this is why some of the most rotten people live very long. Okay, because their biochemistry is not disturbed by negative feelings, fear and regret. They don't give a damn. Okay? Anyway, let's continue. It does not matter if one appears to be first or last, for the competitive spirit is a form of violence. Now that is true. And there can be no violence in the soul of the true disciple on the spiritual path. And have y'all ever noticed that in the secular system in the U.S., they promote and glorify competitive personalities? So that should already tell you something, right? That's what they promote, competitive personalities. Glorify it. The zodiacal sign, Scorpio, tends to be associated with violence and competition. Because the Scorpio type of person is often too emotionally and personally involved in making up human Han-Uman hybrid relationships with, let me repeat that, what to him or her is a success. Okay, in other words, imagine this: the hybrids, they just come in and take your stuff. It's competition, right? They don't care about who they hurt, who they kill. They don't care about treaties, birthrights. They don't care about anything. All they care about is who has the most. Who has the most gold, who has the most fiat, who has the most power, who has the most influence. They don't care how you got it. This is what colonization was all about, y'all, right? So the hybrids are generally more concerned with objects, just like a dog is more concerned with getting the bone, right? And your favorite dog, your best friend, will bite you over his bone if you try to take it, right? Our people, Genesis chapter 2, tend to be more concerned with relationships. Okay, so like in my case, and most others of us who experience this, when I was in school, the teachers, can you imagine you're an adult, let's say you're 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever, and you're treating a child like you don't like the child. And the child is aware that you don't like the child. First of all, what kind of adult would be so cruel to a child? Let's say a kindergarten student, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. What kind of person would do that? But that's what the hybrid did, right? And that's what they do. They have no feeling, no compassion, no sense of relationship, no connection to autochthonous people, period. So I remember when I realized what was happening, I was no longer interested in school. Okay, I was no longer interested. Why? Because I didn't have a good relationship with them. So we, Genesis chapter 2, man and woman, we tend to be concerned with relationships, whereas the hybrids are concerned with objects. like gold, like fiat. They don't give a damn about the relationship. They cut their mother's throat. And I'm not saying that to be mean, but you check the history. They'll smile in your face, befriend you, just long enough for them to figure out how to do it on their own and to get rid of you and not be caught doing it. And even to look like they did some good. Make themselves look like the perfect angel. Y'all know what I'm saying is true. Let's continue. So that quote came from Rudyard, page 75 and 76. It is entirely consistent with the rest of the gospel story that James and John should be the ones to request positions of power in the kingdom. They were nicknamed sons of thunder by JC. This is coming from Mark 3:17. And they are the ones who, in Luke's gospel, asked JC to command fire from heaven. Y'all remember that? To consume the inhospitable Samaritan villages. Y'all hear that? The sons of thunder. James and John asked JC, the Christ figure, to kill entire villages of Samaritans. Now remember, this is not the House of Yasharala. These are religious Jews, right? Jews, not the bloodline people did that, according to the story. According to the story. Y'all got that? They were nicknamed Sons of Thunder by JC at Mark 3:17, and they are the ones in Luke's Gospel asked JC to command fire from heaven. That's an awful way to go, ain't it? By fire from heaven to consume the inhospitable Samaritan villages. Well, it wasn't like the Samaritans raped, robbed, and killed anyone. They were just inhospitable. And these two apostles tells JC, who they think is God or God's son or something to that effect, but they know he has power. They said, send fire down from heaven. Burn them all up. What does that say about the condition of their heart, as Christians would say? What does that say about the condition of the heart? All right? Do we see examples in history where the Christians, in fact, did come in and burn down entire cities? Villages and cities? We've seen many historical incidents of Christians coming in, burning down people, killing them. No reason, other than they want your land, they want your gold. Right, y'all? In the name of Christianity. All right. So James and John appear to be the true sons of Mars. Mars is a planet of war, if I remember correctly. We might also note that Matthew tells the story of their request for power rather differently than Mark, or from Mark. In Matthew's desire to present the apostles as worthy characters, Matthew has their mother make the request on their behalf. Matthew 20 and 28. So y'all see that? He rewrote the story, or at least changed it from Mark. So that now they're not looking to obviously into having a power grab, right? Their personality, they want power, they want control, they want to seize power. So Matthew says, okay, we need to soften this up. We need to hide this personality trait of the apostles. So Matthew says, well, their mother asked for it. Okay, so now that takes the bad off of them. It hides it, right? Otherwise, they'd have a stigma associated with them, right? Okay? So here you are. Those two apostles, they want power. Power hungry. And then you have two more apostles who want to burn down a whole village just because the people were not hospitable to them. What kind of stuff is that? So that's 4 out of the 12. Have some real serious personality problems. Okay, 2 of them, James and John, they want to genocide out a couple villages. All right, so this Christian doctrine has genocide all over it. But yet, they're supposed to be loving. All right? Anyway, make sure you support my work. I have links to my Ancient Ibaryath books in the description area of this video. Y'all support it, okay? If you feel it in your heart, support my work. The project to write the book of the law in Ancient Ibaryath. Some of y'all call it Paleo Hebrew. Okay, support that project. It's an absolute shame. It's a national embarrassment that we don't have our own book of the law right now. Okay, it is a shame. I'm going to write it from scratch. I'm not going to buy a template software package that already has everything written out and all you need to do is plug in a few changes. Okay, no, I'm going to write it from scratch, word for word. Where there's where there's astrology or cosmology, not the religion, I'm talking about the science, the study of the stars or the position of the heavenly bodies, things of that sort. No hocus pocus, newspaper, astrology kind of stuff. There ain't no devil worship and all of that. The science, period. So that I'm going to put back in. I'm going to put back in the natural law principles and concepts. I'm going to put back in all of the signs that identify who the House of Yasharala is. Now, how to identify them. Everything. All of the deception, mythology, lies, all Jeremiah 8, verse 8, occurrences, I'm going to remove them. All right? So not only will you get the ancient Ibaryath script, but you're going to get the etymological meanings of each word, right? You're going to get how I rendered each word in English. And then you're going to get the finished sentences, the finished work, all right? Everything is going to be there for you to be able to do a thorough analysis, if you so choose to. Okay? It'll all be there with footnotes and everything else. I will invite people from whatever Hebrew Israelite group, Christian group, whoever, as long as they know what they're talking about, I'll put them in footnotes, whatever they interpret a verse to mean. Okay? So they'll have, if they want to participate, they'll have the opportunity to put their understanding of what a verse or a word means, okay? This is for education, not indoctrination. So if you feel it in your heart that we need to have our own book of the law, y'all, if you're tired of being under the influence and control of those people who hate us, our enemies, who oppress us, who actually wrote these books to deceive us. They're hiding information. They're including information, and they took out other information. Why would you trust them? Right? Let's say you don't know me or you don't like me. I'm a better option than your enemy. Right? They have a proven track record. Hundreds of years. Death, murder, rape, every foul, disgusting thing you can think of, they've done. They've used these records as weapons of war. So even if you don't like me, or you got some other problem with me, support it anyway. I'm DrYasapa from Zion Law School. Islam to all the Moors. All of the links are in the description area of this video. Shalom.